Hey, what's going on, everyone? Big Bob with Tales of a King. We're back in the Inland Empire. We're going to speak with Tripp of Tripp Productions. You guys stay tuned. King Life. Hey, what's going on, everyone? Big Bob with Tales of a King. Welcome back to another edition. Today, right here to the right, I got Tripp. It's not Tripp. Thank you for having us. Tripp is a radio producer, publisher of Vatos Viclas magazine, and many more titles. Tripp, a lot of people know who you are, and a lot of people don't know who you are. Why don't you give us a little background of who Tripp at Vatos Viclas is?
I really don't know how to answer that question. I'm just an everyday person that saw something that I felt needed a void that needed to be filled, and just started doing it. I'm a product of the Chicano movement, and I saw my place in radio and politics and publishing. So I've just gone after that and tried to contribute and try to do my part to make sure that we as a community, we as a culture, don't get left behind and don't get forgotten.
And the Chicano, like you said, Chicano culture, the Chicano scene, it's a whole. You got people from all walks of life, from every color, every race, countries even,
yes,
doing the Chicano scene. Yes. You know, I would say, as for Tripp, he's probably one of the front runners to bring the Chicano biker culture, Chicano biker scene to the mainstream, to light. Like you say, he's a product of the environment, and I feel he was one of the four front runners to bring it to mainstream and make it to what it is today. Now, tell us a little about the radio. You still do radio?
Back in 85, 86, I started playing on a college station locally here in University of California, Riverside. I had already had a little bit of a political background. My brother is a political guru, and I used to help him in politics, so I started meshing entertainment. I've been DJing since I was in junior high school.
Oh, wow.
And I started meshing what I did at the radio station with politics, and it just evolved. You know, I was taught that as in the position that I was, it's our responsibility to maintain our cultura, and our specific mission was going to be to do that through arts and entertainment. So I was able to use a radio platform to push out a consciousness about us as a community. As a youngster, my brother instilled in me that you have to ask yourself, what's going to be your legacy? What are you going to leave behind? And as a youngster, you know, I emulated what was around me. You know, I lived in the Colonia of Oxnard, and to me, you know, the lifestyle and that culture of those times, I liked it. I picked up on it. But I made the conscious decision to say, what is my contribution going to be? What kind of image am I going to leave behind? If I want to be a homie, fine, but I'm going to be a positive homie. And so I took that to the radio station. I took that into my publication, and I said, this is the way that we're going to evolve it. And so, you know, that radio station that I started to get involved with way back then has evolved to my own internet radio station now.
Nice.
That plays 24/7. It's called Tripp Radio on candyandchrome.com.
So it's
candyandchromeradio.com.
So you guys can find it at candyandchromeradio.com.
Plays 24/7. Right now that I'm working as much as I am, I'm allowing old shows from back my KUCR days for Radio Aslan. Those are recycling on the program, but we do live shows also. I'm still in the process of building it up where I'm allowing other DJs to come in and start doing their programs also. And the Chicano community, like you were saying, is eclectic. So we have different types of Chicano formats, whether it's rock en español, whether it's mariachi, whether it's oldies, whether it's current Chicano stuff, just different formats within the Chicano
all on that
community.
station?
All on that station.
Oh, so you get
it's 24/7, yeah.
You get a taste of a little air, not just oldies, not just old school, whatever you get. Oh,
exactly.
Man. Okay, I didn't know that.
Exactly.
And so you said the political. What do you mean by political? Like you said political, like little politics, or?
I was the director for the 2000 Democratic National Convention.
Oh, wow.
That's where the an official announcement of who your presidential candidate will be. Being that my brother has been into politics so long, I started helping him with canvassing, putting up signs, developing strategies, get out the voter registration. I got real involved with Southwest voter registration, and where they taught us how to go out and try to really get people to get involved with the electoral process, but first and foremost to register, to be part of the process. And then from there, it's kind of funny because I worked with my brother here in California, but then I got picked up by the Democratic National Committee to work federal campaigns, like presidential campaigns and big seat campaigns. So they'd fly us all over the country and working on those kind of campaigns. So again, I was able to mesh that world with my entertainment world. So I'd bring I brought Santana to do a big appearance for a candidate. Los Lobos have been part of it. We got, when I was working in Vegas, there's a group called La Banda Calavera. We literally put them on the back of a flatbed truck and had them going up and down the streets jamming. They have a song, Vamos a Bailar, and we changed it to Vamos a Votar. And so they were playing it, and we were literally going down the Vegas Strip with them on the back jamming. And you just saw all the people on the side start rocking out, start jamming. And so it was, I took it, my role was, my personal mission in life is to make people happy.
Right.
And so that day I said, this again, boom, look at all these people happy, dancing, cheering.
Having a good time, especially in Vegas.
Oh my gosh. And ever since then, when I've had the magazine, that's one of my future to-do lists, is to take a ride down the Vegas Strip with all the bikes like we do for Raza Run or Second Sundays or one of those. So that, hopefully we'll see that happen. So
that hasn't happened yet?
For the motorcycles, no. Did in politics, but someday we'll make it happen in the bikes.
So when did the magazine, when did that drop? 2007, 2006?
It was released in 2007. We started to conceptualize it in 2005, 2006.
Well, let me ask you this: was it something you were going to do for fun? Was it just because you started off with a calendar first, right?
Correct.
And so was it just something you're like, let's just try it, or did you envision it being what it is? What are we, 12, 15 years later?
In the world of politics, I was told that I needed to branch off from being a strategist with them and to become a private contractor. And so a lot of people that deal in the political world, they're contracted out for their services, and that's where I was told, you need to do that so we can bring you in like this. The money's better, you have more autonomy, you do what you want to do, and as long as you deliver us a good kick-ass show or event. And so that's how Tripp Productions actually started to evolve. My radio program was already there. The politics was going good. So I had to come up with a way to push some of the events, because after political season, then I started doing shows for casinos and companies and putting on our own shows.
So you didn't stop. You kept the ball rolling, doing what you loved.
Exactly. And so when I used to try to buy advertisement, it was outrageous, and I was like, damn, you spend that much money. Even though I was in radio, didn't see the cost effectiveness of radio. I think it is there, but I didn't see it because I was too small of an entity. And so somehow or another, it was in my mind, and there's a guy that I'll put all the blame on him. His name is Carlos Aceves. He had a magazine called Low Company, and I used to kind of help him out, just check out what he did. This guy's an incredible person. He's a Renaissance guy. He can do anything electronically. He can build a car for you. He can build a house for you. He can build an internet site for you. And he was putting together an incredible magazine. And at work, I work for the state of California for the unemployment office. I need calendars all the time. So I asked him to help me put together a calendar, and it was just for work purposes. It was just for myself. And it came out really decent, and people were seeing it, people started asking for it. And I just, you know, what the heck? I did a 10,000 piece run. It was ready. We officially released on Black Friday for Thanksgiving, right after Thanksgiving. Awesome. And by Christmas, we were done. We were sold out.
Wow, 10,000 pieces?
I kept, about 400 or 500 for myself. I'm gonna archive these, and recently I've actually been tapping it. But yeah, I just, you know, literally I didn't know what to do with it. I didn't know how to distribute it. I didn't know what to do. I literally went to the swap meet and got a booth at the swap meet, and I was just literally standing there like, you were like, what the hell is this guy doing?
Awesome.
And then from there, I just started going to stores, and I went to motorcycle shops, independent shops, Harley shops. I went to Chicano bookstores, and I was surprised that people they took a chance on us.
That's what I was going to ask. Were they accepting it? Because, you know,
right off the bat, more yeses and nos. And then again, being that I was already in radio, already in entertainment, I have no idea why. I think I was at one shop, and I was kind of doing something, an event for somebody else, and I don't know how, I just told the guys, hey, what about a Cinco de Mayo show right here? And they're like, Cinco de Mayo show? And there was a huge stigma with Harley-Davidson. Are they welcoming of the Chicano community? And so this shop, they're pretty progressive about it. They said, okay. They gave me a decent budget. That was our first Cinco de Mayo Harley-Davidson style show that we did, and that dealership sold, I think, 11 or 13 bikes in that day.
Wow.
That was like a wild thing for them, that they're like, wow, our events, we're lucky we do 5 bikes. And from there, other dealerships heard, and they started getting us to do events with them. Time has gone by, you know, our events have evolved from just that one event. It got to one point that dealerships were trying to say, give me 2 or 3 years, I'll sign you up right now. This bike back here actually kind of came out of that kind of a deal. Yeah, the dealerships, they knew what I wanted. This other bike was down, and they knew I wanted one. The guy tells me, look, give me 3 years, and I'll give you the down payment for the bike, and I'll do this and I'll do that. And so I was like, oh man, so we did. We went ahead and signed with them and gave them a bunch of shows.
Kind of like networking before networking was a... yeah. So, you know, it's been some really cool things that have come out of what we do and the relationships we built. Now, for obviously a lot of you don't know, I met Tripp in 2014 at the, again, I've said this before, we started Bonehead Inc., which is our clothing brand, in 2014. And we met Tripp for La Raza Run 2014. And we just kind of became friends since then. So I've known Tripp for a little while, and good dude, man, solid dude, good people. You've had some heavy hitters on the cover of Vatos and Viclas, like Emilio Rivera, Danny Trejo. Yep. Who else?
We had a local legend, Cholo rider, Louis.
See the one that makes the shirts
the little face on him?
Yeah.
Cholo rider?
Yeah.
And I'll say that he had his shirt, Support Your Local Chicano Biker, that has the UFW eagle on it. That was probably the first biggest Chicano biker shirt that was out there. You're seeing that shirt all over the country. Wow. If not, you know, I'm sure he sent them out of the country as well. But in my opinion, that was probably the first biggest, you know, shirt that just took the world by storm when it came to the Chicano biker community finally establishing itself. I
have one, and I remember seeing it. I don't know, it was like 2008, maybe 2009, somewhere there. And I said, man,
yeah, right after we published I can't remember if he was in the calendar first or the magazine first. He made the cover of the first magazine, but you know, he did really good about pushing himself out there on social media. I can't remember if it was Facebook back in that days, but yeah, no, he made a huge splash on it. So he I consider him a celebrity also.
Yeah, local. Is he local? Is he from SoCal or is
He's from Colton.
okay?
Yeah, local Vato.
I thought it was someone else, but anyway, I know what you're talking about. Now, as far as the magazine, what's new or what's going on with it as of now? I know this COVID shit happened, all that, but
This year we're finally gonna just go for brokes and do it quarterly. We launched in Arizona at the Arizona Super Show. And then bam, on our way home we started hearing stuff. Again, I work for the state, so that next weekend we started hearing that, you know, all these shutdowns are happening. That week I was supposed to be taking the magazine to my distributor. I went and I picked it up from the publishers, and on the way to go drop it off, I was told they're not taking any magazines right now. They're not distributing. So, you know, I had to put the magazines away little by little. We've gotten the magazine out. You know, we've had different people that deal with us in Denver. We have a guy named Anthony out in Denver that pushes our message out there. We have a big, really good group of people in Amarillo, Texas, led by Ray Welch, that they've been getting the magazine out there. And we had a guy in El Paso, Turi, that tried doing his thing over there. Arizona, you know, little by little, we've still been getting the magazine out. Not the numbers that I had hoped for, but we're going to have to reevaluate and see how we're going to do this, even in these times. I don't see these times lightening up for at least a couple more years. So we'll figure out how we roll with the punches. It's been an uphill battle from the get-go, so this is just one more obstacle. We're going to get over this also.
and there's obviously there's no Vatos run this year, right?
No. This year, there's no way to have it this year.
And there's been like what? 10? Over 10 at least, right?
I don't even know what the numbers are. There's at least 10, 12.
I know we've been to 6 of them, so.
And I appreciate you guys going there. You know, you've always been a big staple of that run. So
oh yeah, man. We love it. That's honestly one of our favorite shows of the year. Well, I mean,
yeah, you know, I trip out because I trip out. I always wonder, do vendors come to really vendor? They come just to party, you know. It's
it ends up being a little bit of both. Yeah, it's you can't help it.
Customers are standing at the booth and the vendors out there doing their thing. You know, it's like
my wife's like, you got people here. I said, tell the kids.
And you know what? We're gonna blame it all on Ben. Ben's the one that brings the liquor and gets everybody else in trouble.
Ben, yeah, Ben Loco. Yeah, that's always a good time. All right, Tripp. So I know your main run is the lot officer one, right?
That's become the big one, yeah.
So what other? I know we've been to the one at Lake Elsinore. We've been
Second
to that
Sundays.
That was Second Sundays. What other ones have you done or do?
We have our Cinco de Mayo Harley-Davidson style. We collaborate again with the guys out in different areas. So in Paso, we have the border run out there, and that's led up by Turi Arevalos and Poderoso Car Club. In Amarillo, Texas, we have the West Texas Raza Run. In Denver, we have the Denver Raza Run.
Wow.
Second Sundays, it's on and off. To me, Cinco de Mayo was our signature event. After doing that with the dealerships, we ended up getting the exclusive rights to be calling it Cinco de Mayo Harley-Davidson style.
Wow.
And that one for me, any of my events, I don't want them to just be like a parking lot meetup.
Right.
And you know, that's cool, people want to gather, but I want people to really have an experience. I want them to go somewhere and it's larger than life, a grand experience. We had Cinco de Mayo on the Santa Monica Pier. Who the heck is doing that, right? And it was our intent to make Santa Monica Pier our every year location for Cinco de Mayo. To me, it doesn't get any bigger than that.
Right.
But we've moved it around. We've been in Big Bear for Cinco de Mayo. We've been in Dallas, Texas for Cinco de Mayo. We've been Northern California. We've been at the Riverside Airport. San Diego Harley-Davidsons, Riverside Harley-Davidson. Man, I can't remember all the different spots we've done Cinco de Mayo. But for me, Cinco de Mayo was supposed to be our premier event in that it was a destination location. When you get there and you're wowed by it.
Right.
And so all of our events, well, let's go back to Second Sundays. Lake Elsinore, the Raza Run would never be the way it is right now if it wasn't for the momentum that Second Sundays brought up. When we kicked off the calendar in 06, 07, Our first run was from Corona Harley-Davidson right down the 15 to Lake Elsinore, and we maybe had, I don't know, under 100 people or so, and it was cool. It started off like that. We had the band in the bandstand. It was a great time. That was the kickoff of everything else that you see us doing now. And then all of a sudden, we had a friend, Gloria Jimenez, who had a little restaurant there. Her father had that restaurant since the 70s. It was a little snack bar turned, real nice little restaurant. He actually is the one who cultivated the park, planted the trees, planted the grass, and we were coming out of an economic recession, and we wanted to do something just to kind of say, hey, can we get some people out there to the restaurant? So we started off with the menudo and mariachis, and then from there we started calling it Second Sundays. Well, people were coming from Mexico, from Arizona, from San Jose.
For Second Sundays.
For Second Sundays.
Wow.
They're coming from San Francisco, they're coming from Bakersfield, they're coming from Reno, they're coming from Vegas. One guy shipped his bike all the way from Florida to be part of that.
To be part of Second Sunday.
To be part of it. And the weird thing is, we never made a Second Sunday shirt, and people are always asking us, hey, what kind of momentum can I have from Second Sundays? That's where I think you had the very first gathering of Chicano style vendors, and you had all kind of different stuff. And there's a lot of people. Louis is one of them. Ciclero, Richie, he's another one. Harley Nation, Ana, I think, not Ana, Arumbalos, their family, they had East LA Choppers, but then they started coming and vend with us. I mean, just the list goes on. How many people who had never even tried vending started vending because they saw those numbers at Second Sundays? And from there, we developed a really nice network of people that like, including yourself, that started saying, you know what, why not? Let me give it a shot. And that was cool, because that's one of our contributions to the overall. How many different apparel, Chicano style apparels now? We mentioned Ben earlier. He's probably the biggest thing since tacos now in apparel.
Ben, yeah.
And Locos is synonymous with Hollister and with some of these other big brands.
Texas and
he's all over the world, and he came out of Vatos and Viclas. He said, why not me too? I can do this. He interned with us for a year. He was instrumental. He probably put a good chunk of volume number 4 together. And he was looking, what is he going to do? That guy's another genius. He has marketing knowledge. He has the technical aspect of how to put print together. And the guy's just, he's Elvis Presley now, and he's kicked it big time.
Yeah, he's killing it.
And so those are the things that we've contributed to. Those things have developed from what Vatos Viclas has done, all from Second Sundays. It all comes from Second Sundays. The Raza Run. We had Lake Elsinore. Lake Elsinore ended up becoming the midpoint stop for Raza Run, just because we had to pay homage to it, because that's where it all stemmed from. And so from there, I got other runs that I'm planning on doing. We're going to do something called the Raza Rally now. Instead of Raza Run, Raza Rally, and this is going to be a camp out where you camp out right next to your bike.
That's awesome. Yeah, hell
and then I've been, for the last few years, I've been trying to put together something for the Northern California area. When we do stuff, we want to try to tie in a cultural catch to it. We want there to be some significance. And up there in San Jose, there's an area called King and Story that's like our Whittier Boulevard. Okay. So we want to do a run starting at King and Story, take it to the Mission District in San Fran, and then end up at one of the Embarcadero bridges or Treasure Island, and just do a kick-ass event there.
Oh man, that'd be cool.
And you think Raza Run is as kick-ass as it is? I can only imagine what's going to happen up there. I think it's going to be monstrous.
Because they got a big culture up there too, as far as motorcycles.
You know what?
As well.
And they have such a good network of people that they've already been starting to do stuff. They can't wait for us. They don't want to wait for us. They're like, we're doing our own thing. And I've been promising to get up there for at least 5, 6, 7 years. And I've done small stuff up there. I just haven't had the energy to really go there and go full blown like we've done here. But we will. I promise we will. And when we do, it's going to be outrageous.
You heard it, Northern California,
it's going to be outrageous. And the same thing, when we do the event in Amarillo, you would not believe how many people show up for that. You look it up on YouTube, Amarillo Raza Run, and when you see the numbers that show to that one, when you see the numbers that show to El Paso, when you see the numbers that show up in Denver, we're doing stuff now in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Nuts. It's just nuts how many people are hungry for what we have to offer.
People want it.
People are embracing it, and that's the coolest thing about it, is that, you know, wow, there's a hunger there. We as a community needed an identity of our own, and we have been able to be a vehicle. We have been able to be a vehicle for that. We've been giving Chicanos their own biker identity, which, what do we call now? The Viclero scene.
The Viclero. And
Yeah.
Viclero is, I have it in my phone. Or do you remember? Do you have it memorized?
Well, it's actually Vicla.
Vicla.
The definition of Vicla is.
You have it memorized?
Let's see if I can. I wrote this out, I don't know how many years ago.
Yeah.
But people ask me, where did you come up with the name Vicla at? And to me, when you look at something like this, you definitely have roots in the lowrider culture.
Right.
And from that lowrider culture, little kids couldn't wait. So they had to get that Schwinn, big handlebars, twisted up forks, twisted sissy bars, banana seats, the big tire up front with the big white wall.
Yeah.
This is, to me, is an evolution of those bicycles. And for me, bicicleta, I don't know, the word just came out of there, Viclas.
Yeah.
We're gonna jump on our Viclas. And what's a trip is that when, back in the MySpace days, it was a pet peeve of mine to see so many Chicanos that would be plastering Harley on their trucks or cars or tattooing it on them. And I would think, well, what has Harley done for us as a community, though? And it was my Pinky the Brain scheme to develop something for us that made us identify, universally as Chicano bikers, as Vicleros. And I literally wanted to see where you stopped seeing, Harley stickers or tow hitches, and you started seeing some that were synonymous with us. And in the MySpace days was rolling around, and you'd still see a lot of people saying, "Oh, I'm going to jump on the Harley, dude. I'm going to jump on my hog." And then I started noticing people started saying, "Taking my Vicla out, or check out my Vicla." Oh, that was a thrill, man, to see that we actually had an impact on vernacular now. We were affecting vocabulary.
Right.
And I don't know if you remember when like OMG or It's Hot started making it into encyclopedia dictionaries. Webster finally declares this as a real word. Well, I've been waiting for that. Even I keep looking at Wikipedia to say, when are they going to finally, recognize us? It's not happened yet, but to see that all the way back from the MySpace days, to see how many people started using terms, and people, I trip out because people don't know where it came from, and I'll ask them, "Hey, where did that work from?" "Oh, my girlfriend's fat." Okay, I trip out on that, and that's a good feeling to say, get back to what my brother said. What's your legacy? My legacy is that I've contributed to an affirmation of us as a community, to our cultura, to our culture. When you look at words like suavecito, cubo, firme, now there's Viclero there, there's Vicla, there's Viclera. Wow, you had something to do with that. That's awesome. It's incredible. To see how many people have taken the name and branded it for themselves and try to build on that, it's awesome. It's incredible. Right. Again, you saw how many vendors came out of Second Sundays. Now you see how many entrepreneurs are using terminology we created to try to make a business out of it. We're proud of it. We're not mad at it. It's our fault for not copywriting, our fault for not trademarking. But that's okay. That wasn't the intent to try to,
People still know where it is.
No, they don't. That's probably the trippy thing. And I was surprised when you asked me for the interview, because nobody cares who Tripp is. Nobody knows who Tripp is, and that's okay. That wasn't the intention. The intention was to contribute, to have a part in the overall, and not to allow our community to end up vanishing, not to allow our community to erase, not allow us to assimilate into other cultures and start calling ourselves something completely different than what we are, Chicanos, you know. And now a new subsect of Chicanos, Vicleros. I've always felt that when you look at us as a community, if you're familiar with the spectrum of light, there's different shades of lights broken down by a prism. Well, it's true with us too. You have Hispanics, you have, you know, Mexicanos, you have Cholos, you have Pachucos, you have, you know, people who are not sure what they are, all these different ones. But at the end of the day, no matter where you're at, there's always somebody who's going to try to put you back in your place. Oh, you're just a Mexican, or you're just a Chicano, or you're this or that. Hell yeah, I am, and I'm proud of it, you know. And these are our accomplishments to show it.
Right, that's right.
And let's maintain the identity of who we are, and let's maintain the idea that we contribute. You know, like in voting, you know, we contribute, we vote, you know, we participate. In business, you know, we participate, and we deserve to be on the business. You know, I don't like the idea. We don't want a piece of the pie. We want to own the bakery.
That's right, yeah.
We want to have that place. And so, like people say, you know, while the movement's dead, no, it's not. We just had to get different jobs, you know. And so when we get a classroom, when we buy our homes, when we open businesses, when we take on a role, a responsible role to do something, that's maintaining the movement. That's keeping us alive. That's keeping our community alive. And when people see your interviews, they're gonna be like, hey, I want to be like Bobby. I want to be able to do what he does. If Bobby can do it, why can't I do it? That's what I said when Carlos was doing his magazine. If Carlos can do it, why can't I?
Right.
So hopefully people will go ahead and do that. You know, and I've seen it. I've seen other guys try to do their magazines and stuff. And I've never ever felt like their competition. I've always thought good, because we have many voices. Like that spectrum, we have a lot of different voices. So why not come from different perspectives with the magazine? This is how this Chicano sees it. This is how this Chicano sees it. If there's anything that I could do, I'd be more than happy to contribute.
Wow.
And so, to me, competition is getting yourself up and going. You know, it's not that other person coming out with a product similar to yours. If anything, can thank that person for making you get on your toes and really kicking it up the next notch. You know,
you have such a positive outlook on it. Like you say, you don't see it as a competition. Most people would be like, I don't know, hey Tripp, you know, what does it take to do this? You could have been, I don't know, it's a lot of work. You probably don't want to do it, or you probably can do it. But no, you're like, what? Let me help you as much as I can. Let me.
When you called me from the calendar, what did I tell you? Remember?
Yeah,
so,
you laid it down.
There's vendors that, you know, want to carry some of the same stuff I do. I tell them where I get it. I don't say, you know what, you know, that's a secret, this or that, or da da da. You know what? I'll go here, go to the garment district, go to this spot, go to that spot. Oh, call so and so. You know, that's the direct line. And you know, some people have been cool about it, some haven't. You know, they show you their colors, so you decide, do you want to keep dealing with those people, or do you want to just move on? And you know, my family will tell me, or my friends will tell me, bro, don't talk about what you want to do. People are going to jump on it. So what? If I didn't do it and they did it, you know, at least it got done, you know?
Yeah. You know, I want to go back a little bit here to 2016. It was right 2016. Probably one of the biggest at that time. It was probably one of the biggest roster runs, right?
Oh,
it was cracking. If any of you guys are there, it was huge. We were a good time, having a blast, man. You know, at the booth with partying with all the people, selling shirts. But the unthinkable happened.
Yeah.
You know, it was a scene out of a movie, man. Truck flew over the Coronado Bridge, and
at the top level at that, you know.
Yeah, and we were right under it, you know. And I don't know what the hell happened. Chaos was immediate. You know, and our hearts go out, you know, to the people that were lost still. And but at that time, when that happened, did you feel like did you feel maybe, I don't know, say you were done? It was time to move on. It was such an ugly incident, you know. Man, I remember going back to the hotel room, man. I was outside drinking a beer and I was just crying. And Maria's like, you know, my wife came outside. She goes, "What's wrong with that?" You know, it was so ugly. You know, it was terrible. I'm getting kind of choked up talking about it now. I'm like, it was such a, you know, how does something like that, when it's such a great event, it was a great time, and But anyway, when that happened, what was your feelings for everything you had, sweat, blood, tears into the show, into the magazine, into the movement? How did you feel after that moment?
For a few years, I've already, and people know that for a few years I keep asking myself, is it worth doing this still? Is it worth continuing it? The Raza Run, if all things were perfect, throughout the year we'd be doing great business-wise, and the Raza Run was intended to be a thank you. It's a free event, There's VIP people that register, and them and the vendors are the ones that really contribute to being able to pay for permits and insurance and logistics behind it. And we don't break even on it. It's a big upside down event. And for a number of years I've said, is it worth doing? And I'll tell you this much, 364 days out of the year, it's not. I tell myself, you're nuts, why are you doing this? That 365th day, it's worth it. You see all the people there, you see what's happening there, you see what the contribution you're making to our community, and that one day makes it worth it. That particular day that happened, I think for a while now, we've been consistently getting the signs that this is just not a lucrative venture that we're doing. We've had events in July and September, and they get rained on. It's 111 here, and at our event, it's raining. It's like, geez, can you be more, obvious? Should we be doing these things? And that year, for whatever reason, was another year we pushed on, and we made it happen. And like you said, the unthinkable happens. When it happened, it was, I felt like I was being choked right there in the spot, and I was frozen. You saw what you saw,
right.
And my biggest thing is, how do you go on after that? Not just necessarily because it's an event or whatever. How do you go on? Is it disrespectful to the families? Is it, are you being selfish to want to do something again like that? And I didn't want to do it again. I was done. I was for sure done. And the family of the Contreras is incredibly beautiful people. They're the ones that said, no, you got to do it. You got to keep it going. And, I still tell myself, should I or shouldn't I have done it? The next year, I was sure it was going to be the last one, and the only reason that we did it was to kind of bring closure to it all. We dedicate the shirt that year to them. We put something in the shirts that was specifically for Francine and for Andre and Cruz and Ana Marie. And I was sure that was it. It was done. I didn't want to do it again. I think the following year, I don't think we did go back to Chicano Park. We went somewhere else completely different.
The harbor or something like that.
Yeah, Embarcadero, I think it's called. I can't remember what it's called. And so it did. It took the sales out of us. And I think until barely this year, since 2016 to maybe the end of last year, I think we stopped everything. We just kind of like, I couldn't do it anymore. I tried to completely stop. I tried to not get involved with it again. I didn't know how to go on, regardless of knowing people personally, because again, you had the people who passed away. You had the people who were their family members that were affected by that. People need to think about them. You got people who got physically hurt. And then you got the people who saw what happened, that were part of it emotionally. They were scarred and injured also. And how do you go back to doing something like that? It's a festive event, it's a celebration. How do you continue? How does life go on after such a huge tragedy?
Right.
And I really don't know how we were able to keep pushing on. I don't think we do anything that we do for ourselves. So I think that's where the solace came in, is that If people want a closure, let's help give it to them. And you know, we've been kind of pushing on, I think, more out of a responsibility to maintaining our identity, our culture, our idea of we are a productive, progressive people. And so that's how we're going to move on. And let's not let their memories fade away either. Let's keep doing what we're doing, because everything we do now, I don't know if you've noticed, everything that we do, even before this particular event happened, at the Raza Run, at our different events, we always have a little area where we put things dedicated to people who passed away.
Right.
It's called the Recuerdo. It's part of the magazine. And that's intentionally put there so that everybody knows we still think about people. We still, people aren't just gone. They're still with us. They still ride with us. A person who had gotten nearly killed one year, and it was going to be the first year he missed the Raza Run. I took his vest and I strapped it on my handlebars and I said, "You're still with us." And we had his vest rode the ride with us.
Nice.
And when we got to the park, he was there all, not able to move or anything, but when we got there, we put his vest on. So he still did the ride with us.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And so these people that aren't with us physically, they're still with us spiritually. Right. And they're still going to be part of us as long as we keep going.
Oh, yeah. Tripp, who do we got behind you?
I wanted to bring in my daughter. She's the second daughter that I've had that has helped make Vatos Viclas happen. She's actually in the very first issue. Oh, wow. You'll see her, I'm holding her on the letter from the editor or publisher. She's on me in that picture, and that goes to show you from where she started with me to where she's now. Wow. This last weekend at the Long Beach Swap Meet was her last gig with us. She's taken off to the University of Eastern Oregon. Yeah. All right. She got recruited to play lacrosse over there. It's going to be a big loss to me emotionally, and I'm over here crying like a little bitch, thinking my baby's gone. But no, she's been a huge part of what we do. I have another daughter named Reina Lisa. Everybody knows her as Ugams. She's actually the one who puts everything together in the magazine and calendars and all our flyers. So this one told her, she's kicking her to the curb and she's taking over the logistics part of it all. Awesome. So that's my Marisol, my monster.
You guys make sure to thank Monster if you guys see her out and about. She's a big help with Tripp Productions and everything he does.
And give me your raffle tickets again. That was really nice. I won the 50-50.
Where was that at?
At Marcos's show.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That was a setup.
Yeah.
Right on. Well, thank you for everything you do.
Yeah. I really super appreciate that some people feel that what we do is a big deal. I'll ask you, what was it that you thought was a big deal about what we've done all these years?
Well, the thing is, I don't think you realize, and you said what you've done. You're a staple in this community, in the movement, in the Chicano biker scene as a whole. Again, the culture, the style, the everything. And I think that's what makes it even more bigger to you, is you don't see yourself as a part of it. And people that know. If you don't know, you're gonna learn after watching this episode. But I in my heart, I believe you're one of the front runners of making this scene into the mainstream, into the bigger light. Harley-Davidson, Chicano style, right?
We did the 105th anniversary in Milwaukee for Harley-Davidson, and we took out I don't know, maybe 6, 8, 10 Viclas style bikes. Junior Benrostro, who's one of the most incredible builders out there from Santa Paula, J&J Customs, he does incredible candy work. And Harley's R&D people out there looking at it, and Harley will never give us credit for what we've given them. The first time before I launched the magazine, I went to Harley-Davidson and I flew myself out there and got a meeting with them. And after I pitched it, I had all these big pictures of what I was trying to show them what we're doing. They weren't having it. They're like, "That's not our style of bikes. We don't like what you're doing to the bikes. That's an insurance liability. We can't get behind you." I would say maybe 6 months later, they asked for another meeting, and the tone was different. And so
That fast, huh?
we chopped it up a little bit, this and that, and then eventually they asked us if we would do, I can't remember what they called it, like a community, like something about different segments, African American community, the Chicano community, if we would do some kind of display. And so we did, and we took all these bikes, and their R&D departments were there, and it was a trip because they stayed in our booths a long time, and they would look at the bikes like, you can't ride a bike that low, and I hit the buttons on them like, oh, you can't do that, you know.
Can't do that.
And what is he doing at 21 on a Heritage, you know, and they took a lot of cues from what we did, and from Junior's combination of candies that he did, you saw that they ended up coming out with their campaign, their hard candy campaign, and again, they'll never admit it, but
right.
You look at the colors, exact colors that they came out with exact colors that we took over there. You know, they started working on a campaign for a choloed out Heritage and a Road King. The Road King one launched. Those are cues that they took from us, but we never heard from them again.
Right.
They were going to launch a campaign called the Harley-Davidson campaign. And when I saw it, I told them what my feelings were about it. And to me, it was kind of an insulting campaign. The morning that it was supposed to launch, I get a phone call from the marketing department that they had hired saying, you just blew our program. Now you need to come up with something. I go, well, I'm not getting paid to come up with something. How are you going to ask me? And so we did. We ended up giving them some cues on it. And some of the cues they ended up taking. They made a film out of it that we're supposed to be part of that we ended up not being part of. But down the road, you know, there were the other cues that they took from us. And again, it's like, you know, we contributed to this all. We had an effect on it. And so are we going to be able to continue doing that? I think that catalog is going to do with it. Hopefully things go good with the United States Postal Service, because I have two big dreams with the United States Postal Services. I'm a big fan of United States, but don't ask me why, I just am. But I want to do stamps. I want there to be 2 series of stamps, one of it being on the Viclas and the other one being on lowriders. Have you ever seen lowriders or Viclas on stamps? No, you've seen hot rods and you've seen other stuff, but those are 2 big dreams and goals that I have. So that's definitely another, you know, down the road, let's see if it happens thing.
The rate things are going, it will happen.
I hope so. And you know, come here, Mamas. Come over here to this side.
That's your intro.
That's my intro. This is right here. Vatos y Viclas. You know, Carlos, I say, is the one who really helped me start it. When she was in high school, probably what, the 9th, 10th grade, when I'd start calling you at all hours of the night.
This is awkward because it was 2008. I was already graduated.
No, well, it was before. When she was still in high school. I don't know. You know, Carlos had a huge part of it. There's another guy by the name of Bob Signs and the whole RDS printing family that would definitely make sure that we hit the shelves. But if it wasn't for my daughter, and people know her as Ugams, Reina Liz, Vatos y Viclas would never exist. She's the one that she's done stuff on the internet for us. She learned how to do web development. She's the one who built our commerce site. The last 2 magazines you did on your own?
Yeah.
Wow.
She did them all by herself, and probably the last 4 calendars she's done all by herself, if not more than the last 4. All the flyers, every single flyer that you've seen since probably 2010, 11, have all been done by her.
Really?
A lot of our shirt designs have been done by her. And I'm lucky.
Vendor fees?
Yeah, she as a matter of fact, she's the one that's out there setting up the events.
Yeah.
She didn't start driving till she was what, 21?
22, I think.
22? And we were in Northern California, and I couldn't make it home. And she just took over with the big trailer on the back. And she just took over. And I told her, you can't go past this point. Wake me up. Next you know, we're almost home.
Backing up to the house.
And if it wasn't for her, I honestly could say that we wouldn't exist right now.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mamas.
You're welcome.
You can go now, Felicia. Bye,
Okay,
Felicia.
bye.
There it is, you guys. Felicia. he was here. I'm just kidding.
So, that's, like I said, and who thinks about her, my daughter? I'll tell her one of my ideas, and she'll be like, "Where do you come up with that from?" And I'll be like, "I don't know, it just popped in my head," and just. Like Ben, he's another one. I'll be with little ideas around, and we're like, God, Tripp, how do you come up with this stuff? And so like the stamps, there's a lot of things that we still have to go on. I'm getting older. I'm getting slower. You've been lucky for a whole bunch of different reasons, but there's still a lot, and I don't want to call it a bucket list. There's just a lot that needs to get done. That we're
right, things that aren't complete.
Yeah, so I do super appreciate you for shedding light on what Vatos y Viclas has done.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you, man.
And I can't thank you enough. And to your family, to your kids, to your wife, it's awesome to see you guys out there together and them supporting you as much as they do. So you're doing something incredibly right. So thank you. Thank you for being a role model.
No, man. Hey, I appreciate you guys. There it is, man. Tripp, Vatos y Viclas magazine. Tripp Productions. Thank you, Tripp.
Who's that dude back there? You got to introduce him too.
Julio. Everyone knows Julio.
Gracias, Julio.
But there it is, you guys. Tripp is truly living the king life. Thank you again for tuning in to another edition of Tales of the King. We'll see you guys soon. King life.